Hello there. The Copa América comes to Sky Sports, giving us the chance to see many of the greatest talents in world football in a tournament which ranks second in importance only to the World Cup for all the countries of the Americas. Brazil have won the World Cup 4 times. Argentina have won it twice and Uruguay twice as well. And they're all in action live in the next few days as we cover every one of the 26 matches of this Copa América live for you. And here to help us look ahead, 3 men of undoubted stature as international players themselves. It's a great pleasure to welcome back, should I say at the start of the new season, Phil Thompson is with us again today alongside Frank Stapleton, and I'm delighted also to say we're joined rather unusually by Trevor Francis, the former Sheffield Wednesday manager. All 3 players of great international distinction themselves. Lovely to have you along. In the next hour we'll be reviewing the highlights of previous championships. We look at the makeup of the 3 groups this time round and we'll ask who's most likely to reach it to the knockout phase. First up, let's go to Group A. This includes the host nation Uruguay. They're hoping that home advantage will help them to a first win in this championship since 1987 as they look to re-establish themselves as a force in world football. So that's the makeup of Group A, and this is how the fixture list pans out. We start tonight with Uruguay against Venezuela live from Montevideo. Mexico are in action first on Thursday evening against Paraguay. On to the weekend then, the 9th of July, Uruguay against Paraguay. Mexico meeting Venezuela on the same day. These matches back-to-back for you live on Sky Sports. The final group matches then on Wednesday, the 12th of July, Paraguay against Venezuela and Uruguay against Mexico, nominally on paper to decide who will win that group, but the football hasn't started yet. Well, Phil, are we going to make Uruguay favourites to do well in this group, do you think? I
think so. I think they've got to have a great chance. We've seen them come to Wembley and play quite well without extending themselves. They've got some good players. With the home advantage, you think in any of these Copa America games, I think the home advantage has always looked quite favourable upon teams, and I shouldn't think it'll be any different.
Trevor, you've some experience of playing, I know, for England against Uruguay. They didn't qualify for the last World Cup, but the talent pool is quite significant for them, isn't it?
I think especially in attacking areas. You know, the captain, Francescoli, is a good player, a lot of experience in European football. I think the 2 boys up front, Fonseca and Ruben Sosa, are both excellent players.
Here's Francescoli. Now, he's been speaking to the press this week saying the only result that Uruguay consider is winning the tournament, and anything less than that will be regarded as a failure in a home country. Frank, do you think that puts them under extra pressure that they don't need?
Yeah, possibly. I think looking at the people that these players, one will come out of this tournament where you haven't heard of before, and when they're playing at home they show tremendous confidence and ability, and I think that he's put a bit of pressure on them, but maybe if they're good enough they'll rise to it.
How highly do you rate their forward players, the likes of Fonseca that Trevor mentioned as well?
Well, Fonseca's been one of the top players in Italy, one of the top foreign players in Italy for a number of years, and he's got goals consistently. Whether the team as a whole is going to be strong enough to win the tournament is questionable, but I think that with a player like that in your team, he's always going to get goals for you.
Now, Ruben Sosa's another one, isn't he, that's distinguished himself in Italy?
Yeah, he's the type of player that regularly scores goals for Inter Milan, and I'm surprised actually that they allowed him to leave the club, and I would think that in this competition here there'll be a few interested Premiership managers, because I think it's £2 million they're talking. He could be a snit.
Frank, we've sadly got some personal experience of Mexico recently in the World Cup. They beat Ireland in a group game last year. Yeah. Good strong side. They were finalists last time round. What do you expect from them in this tournament?
Well, I was a bit disappointed in the latter stages after they had qualified from the first phase of the World Cup. I thought they might have gone on to do a bit more, but they reached the limit then. But certainly in the qualifying matches they looked quite good. They totally outplayed Ireland on that day. Of course the conditions I felt suited them then, but they've got good forward players, and Luis Garcia is one that we remember from the World Cup last year.
Phil, talk about a colourful keeper. They've got this fella, Jorge Campos.
He was absolutely incredible. Like, you'd think he'd play in that garb in just the one game, but he had all kinds, and apparently he actually makes them himself.
Can he keep goal, Phil? That's the bigger question.
No, I'll tell you, he makes a better sweeper, believe me, because he'd come out and he'd be dribbling with the ball. Again, you can see you need characters like this. He was quite exceptional. He's only a small fella, and you think maybe he'll get caught out now and again, but he handled himself really well in the World Cup.
I was in the USA this time last year, and I watched this lad playing against Norway in Washington, and the big fear was that with the Norwegian forwards, people like Flo and the lad who's just gone now to Middlesbrough, Fjortov, that he would have trouble in the air. And so that's the way it proved. They eventually lost to Norway 1-0. And the problem he does have is his lack of height.
Well, he's certainly, sorry Frank, a colourful character in every sense, and as we go through this show you'll meet one or two others as well. Hugo Sanchez, big name Mexican forward, has been left out of their squad, and he has said that he is extremely disappointed at the decision of the Mexican coach Miguel Mejia Barón. We may get to know him as well a little later. So Uruguay and Mexico, the favourites to emerge from Group A. Now to Group B. The World Cup winners Brazil. They've been phasing out their old guard players, but that's hardly surprising because the new faces have truly seized their opportunity in sensational fashion, as we saw here last month during the Umbro Cup. So this is how the fixture list pans out in Group B. Colombia kick off the group on Friday evening against Peru. Brazil are in action first against Ecuador. Same evening, back-to-back fixtures live on Sky Sports. Colombia and Ecuador meet on Monday, and that leaves Brazil to play Peru later that same day. Two more fixtures in Group B, Peru meeting Ecuador, and then the two group favourites, again before a ball has been kicked admittedly, Brazil and Colombia on Thursday, July the 13th. Well, they seem to have an embarrassment of talent. Romario and Bebeto not required. The youngsters are pressing for their big chance, Phil, and we've seen one or two of them recently in the Umbro Cup. I'll just throw Edmundo at you first of all.
Well, Edmundo, he was unbelievable. Apparently his nickname is the Animal in Brazil, but he played exceptionally well. Great players, him and a young boy Ronaldo up front. The pace on him was frightening. They're always looking to get the ball, always looking to help out in midfield, but I think that it lies in midfield where I think they're going to have it. They've got the experienced Dunga in there. Tremendous players, all-round quality, and Juninho, who I think probably the star of the tournament in the end, even from Roberto Carlos just there on the ball.
Trevor, how much did you enjoy Brazil in this Umbro Cup?
I thought they were exceptional, as they were in winning the World Cup in the USA. I'm a bit disappointed that they've left the star man out, up front, because I think that, he's had one or two injury problems, but I think that it's a personality clash, with Zagallo. I'd like to have seen him play, but as you say, people like Tulio and Edmundo and Ronaldo, they're all there. Yes, Tulio scored against Poland in Brazil's warm-up game last week, and so much interest is around this young man that it is reported that the Middlesbrough boss Brian Robson has been in Brazil this week to try and persuade him to come to play his football in this country. Frank, have you seen much of Tulio?
No, hardly anything. But I think that if a player can score goals at international level, it'll only add to the talent we've got in this country, certainly from foreign players. I think there's been a bit of criticism over the period about bringing in foreign players. But I mean, if you're bringing this quality in from Brazil and the other countries like Dennis Bergkamp's come as well, it can only enhance our league, and I think that it is important. I think it's a case of having to go abroad now because the prices that are being suggested or you're having to pay in this country are quite ridiculous. And I mentioned Ruben Sosa this now at probably 2 million. And that's the reason that people like Brian Robson are having to go abroad. Much more of Brazil we expect to hear during the next fortnight or so. But looking through their squad for this championship, only Jorginho, Alder at the back, in midfield Dunga and Zinho, and the goalkeeper Taffarel. They are the only players left from the team that beat Italy on penalties in the World Cup final only a year ago. That shows you the kind of strength in depth that they can call on. Now, Colombia would be the second team you would expect to emerge from this group, but Phil, they've had an awful lot of problems and a bad World Cup last year. Yeah, they have. They've got all sorts of problems. I mean, socially in Colombia. Before the World Cup, I think they were quite a lot of people's favourites. Everybody was tipping them. People who do fixed odds and everything. A lot of money went on them. And they just didn't produce the goods. You look at everybody, most of the players, and they just never got playing at all. But you usually have that in the World Cups. You usually have one of the top teams never really hits it. One of the personalities who didn't make it was René Higuita. He missed the World Cup because he was involved in a legal controversy at the time, actually on a kidnapping charge last year, which was later dropped, we should point that out. But he is back for this. This is some character. And he's an actor as well. I think you're going to find out. I think there'll be a few more in it over the days that we'll be watching it. He's a tremendous character. We've just seen a few more. But this guy can play a bit, but he'll certainly hammer up to the crowds and everything. I think his antics can affect people's concentration in the game. You know, they tend to be watching what he's going to do, and you may just take your eye off the ball for a second, and he can be out instead. I mean, this is ridiculous.
He could outstrip you down the left-hand side as well.
Apparently his hero's Bruce Grobbler, by the way.
And he does score the odd penalty, and he's also a very good dead ball specialist, as we can prove for you like that.
What's he playing in goal for?
Trevor France is not laughing about this. Do you think that this is not professionalism on his part? He looks very good at the outfield stuff.
He must be useful, otherwise he wouldn't have been brought back into the team. I think they've got one or two characters in the team. Valderrama is the biggest character, yes, apart from this lad, and I think he was partly the reason why they didn't do so well in the World Cup, because everything seems to go through him. He slows the play down. He's so predictable. He's not one of my favourite players, although I do appreciate his technical ability. I think the most important player for this team, Colombia, is Asprilla.
Interesting. We'll elaborate on that in just a while, Trevor. Let's get to Group C. This could prove perhaps the strongest of the lot, certainly the toughest. The favourites to emerge would surely be Argentina, now under the management of their former captain, Daniel Passarella. Competitive group here, Group C. USA involved here for only the second time. They start against Chile on Saturday evening. And then we have Argentina for the first time, kicking off against Bolivia. USA then meet Bolivia on Tuesday. And back-to-back with that fixture will be Argentina against Chile. The final two group matches then. First Chile against Bolivia, maybe scrapping for a place in the latter stages as better losers. And then the favourites for the group, Argentina against the USA. Well, Argentina have got a tremendous record at world level in the last 20 years, Phil. Is there any reason to suppose they won't make it 3 Copa Americas on the trot?
I think they'll be in there with the shout. They seem to have... So it's amazing, Brazil only won it 4 times. Argentina seems to have carried it off. They seem to have the attitude. They seem to be right for it. They seem to be able to produce players as much as Brazil. I think they'll be in with a shout at the
Gabriel
end of the day.
Batistuta of Fiorentina scored in both of the last 2 finals, Frank, and he's obviously making a big commitment again for his country here. He's going to be a factor, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's top scorer in the Italian league last season, and also he's taken that form into the national team. You know, when we seen him a few years ago, the long hair was the thing that you looked at, but now he's putting the ball in the net so regular that you've got to look at him as another one of their world-class players. And I
wonder how they'll set with Passarella, because he's brought his own code of conduct in.
Yes.
He wants the haircut, his dress sense. So, you know, maybe it'll upset a lot of the players, and this guy's not too happy with all that. You wonder how he'll play.
Apparently, that's the reason why Konica is not in the squad, because his hair is too long, and I'll be interested to see how long Batistuta's hair is.
1 or 2 new faces, obviously, for Argentina, but as well as this man, Batistuta, we have the likes of Abel Balbo, who you'll know, Trevor, the Roma striker, Atletico Madrid midfielder Diego Simeone, so there's lots of quality.
They've got some outstanding players. You know, as I said, I was in the USA last year, and they were one of my tips for the World Cup. Everyone went for Brazil, and those who did got it right, of course, but I thought that Argentina may win it. I saw them down in Boston when they hammered Greece 4-0. I think Batistuta scored 3 on that occasion, and Maradona scored an excellent goal. And I was a bit surprised they got knocked out. I think you can actually sort of trace the problems that Maradona had, and it affected the morale of the squad.
Now, for the USA, we saw them and admired their effort, Phil, last year at the World Cup finals, but a man who's become a key man for them is somebody we know well from our football, Casey Keller.
Yeah, he's done very well. He's a decent goalkeeper. I think they might get found out, the USA. They did exceptionally well in the World Cup, but I think they will get found out. It does you need a good goalkeeper at any level, and I think he, with the experience of playing in English football, has helped him enormously. But I think they're going to need a lot more than Casey Keller to help them out.
Is it a big difference for him to go from playing in our football here to this sort of a championship as a goalkeeper?
No, I don't think so, because I'll tell you what, he'd be overworked, and I think he's overworked in this country. But I think he'll stand up. He'll probably be one of the stars of the tournaments, because with getting overworked, you're able to shine. He's a good goalkeeper, and I expect him to do so.
As we'll see later, the format of this championship has undergone some radical changes in the past decade or so, but this is how the tournament develops this time round. The qualification process, the top 2 teams in each of the 3 groups, plus the best 2 of the teams who finish 3rd in any group. They will all qualify for the quarter-finals. Points, obviously, first, and then goal difference if necessary. The first of the quarter-finals will feature the runner-up in Group A and the team that finishes second in Group B. Second quarter-final, winner of Group A against the second best of the third-place finishers. That's on Sunday. Winner of Group C against the best third-place finisher on Monday, the 17th of July, that. And on the same day, Monday the 17th of July, the winner of Group B and the runner-up in Group C. The first of the semi-finals features the winner of the first of the quarter-finals and the winner of the second quarter-final. Second semi-final, Thursday the 20th of July. The playoff for third place comes on the 22nd of July, the Saturday, and then the build-up to the final on Sunday, July the 23rd. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff on Sky Sports, but all of those games you will see live with us. Now, the Uruguayans have invested around $25 million to improve their 4 stadiums for this tournament, and this is how the games will be spread around the country. So 4 venues: Rivera, Paysandú, Montevideo and Maldonado. Let's have a look at the Centenario Stadium, which was the venue for the World Cup final of 1930, Uruguay's home pitch here in Montevideo. It's a big stadium, 74,000 capacity, and they'll obviously hope to fill that with home support. Maldonado, qualifying Group A, down on the southeast coast. 35,000 capacity. As I mentioned, they've been doing plenty of work to improve and upgrade the stadiums for this championship. There's obviously work going on there. At Rivera, on the border with Brazil, that's where Brazil will play their games in Group B, and obviously the Brazilians will be looking to get plenty of support crossing over into Uruguay to get behind them. 27,000 capacity, may not be enough for Brazil. And the smallest of the 4 venues, the Parque Artigas at Paysandú, only 20,000 in this stadium, but one would expect there to be a pretty hot atmosphere in there for the Group C games. So we've marked your card a little bit. When we come back, we'll review the highlights of the past couple of tournaments. So far in the 90s, it's been the story of Argentina all the way. For the next fortnight and a little more here on Sky Sports, the 26 matches of the Copa América coming live, and here to help look ahead on this preview show, Phil Thompson, Frank Stapleton and Trevor Francis. Excellent to have you along, gentlemen. Time to look back through the history of this competition. This is how the spoils have been shared out in the past. Argentina are the dominant force. They've won 14 Copa Americas. Uruguay, the host this time round, have won 13. Brazil, 4. And Paraguay, Peru and Bolivia, also former winners. In the last 20 years, it's been a case of Uruguay with 2 wins, Brazil just the one in 1989, and Argentina have won the last 2 in 1991 and 1993. Let's look back now, shall we, to 1991, and the format for the championship this time round involved a final group of 4 teams: Argentina, Brazil, Colombia and Chile, with the championship to be decided on a league basis. Argentina met Brazil at this stage, and it was a thrilling and dramatic game. Argentina going in front early in the piece through a Dario Franco header. Frank Stapleton would have been proud of that one.
Just a little bit, I think, in the top corner.
We weren't sure as to how strong Brazil would be defensively, but one of the sure things about their football is they've got players who can hit dead balls. And that was Branco with an extraordinary goal, Trevor, from distance.
Yeah, how many times have we seen Brazilians score from that distance in big competitions? I remember Branco doing that once for Genoa against Liverpool.
That's what I was just going to come to. I remember it well, and he must have been 40 yards out. Tremendous strike.
Sorry, Phil, we just had a little glimpse of Roberto Falcao, the manager, and he was going to be needed to keep his troops under control. This was the start of the trouble in the match. Mazzino and Caniggia getting involved, and the referee reacting to try to calm it down. But did it work, Phil? 2 men going off at this stage, and things only got worse after this.
Yeah, it does. I think they're so hot-headed. Things like that just sets everybody else off. I think the referee could have at least have booked them and just tried to keep everybody calm at that stage.
Argentina went and attacked again soon afterwards and went in front. A goal by Franco after a superb cross from Rodriguez, and it was certainly not the last excellent cross that Rodriguez produced. Now we're into the second half here, Trevor, and they extended their lead, and again it's Rodriguez who does the spade work.
I think the doubts we've always had about Brazil over the years is their defensive frailties, and We've seen here Argentina score with 3 crosses.
Batistuta getting the header there.
I think over the last sort of couple of years they've certainly improved, and that was one of the reasons why they won the World Cup. They tightened up. They play now with a man who sits just in front of the back 4. But in terms of scoring, as we see here, they've never had any problems scoring goals.
Quite right. Paulo making it 3-2, and Brazil still in the game as a contest, but more men were to follow to the dressing room for an early bath. This time it's Enrique sent off for the stamping offence. So Falcao's attempt to keep tempers under control, only partly successful at best. Careca, the outstanding Brazilian centre-forward of the late 80s and early 90s, he also went off for the use of the elbow, and police had to be called in to separate the two sides at the end of it. But Argentina won the game 3-2, and it only goes to prove that when those two countries meet, anything can happen, and usually does.
We've talked about tonight about some big star names who hopefully are going to feature in this tournament, but let's hope we don't talk about referees, because as we've seen there, they're going to have to play a major role in this competition.
Thank you, Trevor. The opening game of this final group of matches involved Chile and Colombia, and here's what happened. It was a 1-1 draw, and Colombia, we'd seen, Frank, hadn't we, at the World Cup the year before. They'd really surprised many people, but they were forced onto the back foot by Chile early in the game here.
Yeah, there's always question marks against Colombia. I mean, last year they were very disappointing when in the World Cup. When they got to the finals, they didn't do anything. Everybody was tipping them as one of the favourites.
Now, Chile had a great opportunity to go in front early in the game. Higuita saving the penalty by Ivan Zamorano. Colombians came back, and it's Imeldo Iguiran who gets the goal for Colombia from the free kick to put them in front. And they must have looked good at this stage, Phil, to go on and win the game.
Yeah, you fancy them. You fancy them strongly. This is a great bit of skill. Tremendous, but it's come a long way. It's come over somebody's head, brought it down well, kept a cool head, slotted it home very well.
That was Zamorano there who scored that goal for Chile, and it's a pity he's not playing, because he's had a great year in Spain, helping his team Real Madrid to the League Championship. I think he's told his manager he's a bit tired, which is unfortunate.
Well, you'd know about that. I mean, your top players, you need a rest, don't you? Right, so that was a 1-1 draw between Chile and Colombia. It kept it interesting for both of those countries, but it did mean that we came to a decisive group match to end the competition. That's probably what the tournament organisers had in mind. Brazil were top of the group, but they'd played their 3 games. Argentina, with a game to go, met Colombia, and if Argentina won the game, they'd win the Copa America. Here's what happened. Argentina got the start they were looking for, with Diego Simone heading them in front.
I think, as you've seen there, Valderrama was a bit of a liability. He's in the left back position and basically cost them a goal.
This is a typical Batistuta goal, isn't it? Great first touch. We always criticise goalkeepers who are beaten at the near post, but he's hit that ball so early that he's given Higuita little time to react.
I think it's that touch, isn't it? How he's taken it. He's taken his right foot and took it right there. Made it easy for himself.
So Argentina had a cushion, but Colombia did gather their resources and came back at them in the second half.
Yeah, slide real past this. I mean, how he's got it in from that angle, I don't know. But see, I think this is what we've got to look forward to. This individual skill, the South Americans show. We see it in the leagues with certain players in Europe. We don't see it week in, week out in our leagues. And I think we're going to see a lot of it over the next few weeks, because the standard of players are super. Argentina
winning the game 2-1. And with that was enough to ensure that they would win the Copa America 1991. Now, whatever about the format and the rights and wrongs of having a league table to decide a championship like that, Phil, if you beat Brazil and Colombia in the final stages of a tournament, you deserve to win a trophy.
You deserve to win it. It's a hell of a feat in itself, just to beat them. OK, how you look at the tournament, how it's arranged and everything, and as you say, whoever's organised it, that is what they wanted. And Argentina, to take on Brazil, and as they are, you see, maybe they've got a psychological thing playing in the Copa America, is that they can't sort of get things together. Argentina have took it upon themselves, and they must have been very worthy winners then.
Any thoughts, Frank, as to how Argentina can be so consistently successful in World Cups and Copa Americas in the last 20 years? They seem to produce a competitive side every time for a tournament.
Yeah, I think their league is a lot more competitive than the one in Brazil, because most of the Brazilians go abroad and we tend to know more about them. They get up to about 20 years of age and then they're sold. And I think the Argentinian league is a bit more volatile as well. And we've seen over the years the Argentinian club sides have actually represented South America in the World Club Championships.
Trevor?
I find it unbelievable, really, to think that Brazil have only won it on 4 occasions, but perhaps a pointer to the reason why they don't win it is, I mean, I've mentioned the fact that Romario's not there. he's been quoted as saying that he's not too interested in this because he's going to get himself ready for the Olympic Games when there's a chance to win the gold medal.
Right. That is indeed a factor, and we'll explore that when we come to look at the Brazilians in more detail a little later. Thanks to Phil, Frank and Trevor for now. Different format to the competition in 1993, and when we come back we'll show you what happened as Argentina sought to defend their title, but they found Mexico the surprise team of the tournament. Winning the Copa América back in 1991. They went out to try to defend it in 1993 in Ecuador, and as our guests here in the studio, Phil Thompson, Frank Stapleton and Trevor Francis would probably testify, defending any trophy is one of the hardest things in the game of football. But let's review what did happen in 1993. Some of the highlights, first up from the group game, which involved Argentina against Colombia. It was a tough opening phase for the winners 2 years before. Argentina going in front against Colombia in a fashion which was really a comedy of errors. Trevor, this is the kind of thing that's going to make a manager tear his hair out, isn't it, from a defensive point of view?
Yes, it's a ball here where the keeper comes out and makes a mistake, could have given away a penalty. Referee allows play to continue, and from an acute angle, it's an excellent goal.
It was Diego Simeone who got the final touch, or at least he was credited with that goal to put Argentina in front. But Colombia had come into this championship with a big reputation themselves, and they weren't going to go down without a fight in the opening game. They did better than that. They got a 1-1 draw. It was an equaliser by Freddy Rincon. Those countries were to meet again in the semi-final stage. That too was a draw. It finished 0-0 between them on that night, and Argentina only reached the final on a penalty shootout. They won that penalty shootout 6-5, and in the previous round, Argentina had also only reached the semi-final on the basis of the penalty shootout route. So they were living on the nerves, but Argentina going quite well, and the surprise of the tournament really was Mexico. They reached the semi-finals to meet the host nation, Ecuador, and this is what happened in this semi-final. Mexico going in front here. Hugo Sanchez. Not playing for Mexico this time round, remember, but you can see the trademark celebration for the goal to put Mexico in front there. And they wrapped it all up at 2-0 with a goal by Ramirez. And Frank, I would have thought that has some uncomfortable parallels with your own experience of seeing Mexico in recent times.
Yeah, I think you can't underestimate them. They've proved, as we said before, they reached the final the last occasion, and they can cause anybody trouble.
What are their main strengths?
I think there's the two main individuals really, Alvarez and Luis Garcia, who we saw before. Those two boys are the big influence on the team. They all work together. I think they've got a good workmanlike team, with the eccentric goalkeeper as well, probably taking a little bit of the tension off the players. But at the same time, I think that if they can go on to Ecuador, play against Ecuador on their home soil and beat them, even though they might be a poor side, it's always difficult to play away from home, and I'd say they were one of the outsiders of the tournament this time.
Interesting. They also made it pretty difficult for Argentina in the final 2 years ago. These are the important moments from that final. Argentina going in front, Phil, with a goal by Batistuta.
Yeah, I think it's deja vu, isn't it? We've seen one from a similar position just before, but he's such a big, powerful player. You know, he's going to cause problems all round. But Mexico, as with Colombia before, they had good run-ups to the World Cup. Using this as a run-up to the World Cup, they played exceptionally well. But isn't it interesting? On this day, this is the best pitch we've seen.
Yes.
In 1991, 1993. You know.
Now, just to interrupt you, Phil, Argentina gave away a penalty. It was Sergio Goycochea, the keeper, who brought the man down there in the box, Garcia Aspe, and it was Galindo from the penalty spot to make it 1-1.
As we've seen against Ireland, everybody's thought Ireland was going to beat Mexico in the World Cup, and they played exceptionally well. They didn't get carried away by any hype or anything. Very controlled game, and with good value for the win against Ireland.
Argentina got the all-important second goal on the day, and it was Batistuta yet again. This is an extraordinary goal-scoring performance at this level of the game, isn't it, Trevor?
He's been phenomenal this season, isn't he, in the Serie A in Italy. Just looking back to that game there, we saw Goycochea giving the penalty away, the Argentinian goalkeeper. That was 2 years ago, of course, and if that was to happen this year, he would be sent off for that offence now, of course.
It does amplify the point you made already, that the refereeing is going to be a key factor.
I presume it's going to be a South American referee in every game. It wouldn't be a bad idea, you know, if they were to bring over 1 or 2 European referees.
Interesting. Frank, any thoughts about that?
Well, when Trevor made the point before, I was going to say that we mustn't forget the rules do apply in this competition as well as what we had in the World Cup last year and what we've had in the league. So we may see a few sending offs because there's a lot of great attacking players in every side in this competition. So we're going to see some defenders making rash tackles, and the referee is under orders to send them off, and that's what it is.
With the benefit, Phil, of an extra year, presumably the defenders concerned are going to know that this is going to be around the corner for them if they step out of line.
It's so difficult. I'd like to think we might see sort of it might make them better players. Obviously now they know what's happened. They've had a year or so under these rules. They might take a step back. They might make the rash tackles that they make. We mightn't see so many players getting sent off. Hopefully that'll be the way.
Does this mean you've changed your mind about the rule changes from a year ago?
Well, the rule changes. I look at the back pass rules and all this. I think it's helped the game. I think we've seen it more involved, and I think we've seen a lot more goals.
We'll be looking at the recent form of all the leading contenders in the build-up to the Copa América 1995 when we come back, including the team that's already shown us that the beautiful game is alive and well and living in Brazil. Sign up for the Copa América 1995, and in just a moment or two we'll get the thoughts of Phil Thompson, Frank Stapleton and Trevor Francis as to the recent form. But first, here's how the bookmakers in London believe it could develop. They make Brazil 6-4 favourites, Argentina 2-1, Uruguay 4-1 and Colombia 8-1. Then it's Mexico at 10-1 and then a big gap to 25-1, the United States. Chile and Peru 33-1, Bolivia and Paraguay 40-1 and the long odds outsiders Ecuador and Venezuela. So Brazil, the world champions, they're unbeaten since the World Cup a year ago and justifiable favourites on the evidence of their form in England at the Umbro Cup. Brazil opened at Villa Park against another of the World Cup successors a year ago, Sweden, but there was a big gap between the countries this time.
Jorginho. Edmundo into Juninho. This is nice looking again. And Ronaldo! Dunga. Nicely done. Jorginho. Oh, and here's Roberto Carlos coming through from the back. And a chance for Edmundo and a goal. Brilliantly done by the Brazilians. When they strike, it's quick and it's lethal. And Edmundo is the scorer. The animal strikes.
Brazil went hunting for more goals, but his strike partner Ronaldo wasn't quite so lucky. Next to Goodison Park and a meeting with Japan, who'd given England a tough test.
Problems with the bounce for Kasaka. Fantastic goal from Roberto Carlos. It flew in. Edmundo. Still Edmundo. Still Edmundo. It's a brilliant run. Oh, it's hit the bar. Zinho! Great goal! More out of position because of the treatment needed to his eyes, and Zinho's in again. He's rammed it into the roof of the net.
The final showdown came in front of a packed house at Wembley, and for the first half at least, England gave Brazil one or two problems.
Ronaldo taking Scales with him. Ronaldo one-on-one with Scales, hits the post. England breathe a huge sigh of relief. So here comes Pierce. First defender, Lasso! Grab Lasso! Has lit up Wembley here with a superb goal. And Brazil put their trademark on this match. Juninho, they have done. It's 1-1. Well, it's a terrific scenario here. Half an hour to go in the season, really. England playing Brazil at 1-1. But Ronaldo makes it 2-1 to Brazil. An avenue opened up through the centre, and the 18-year-old The new Pele, they call him, applauded by the old Pele. Well, that came off Pearce's head. And it's Edmundo, 3-1. Pearce. Rousseau. Shearer made something happen here. Anderton. Zeti punches. Black tries the bicycle, kick it back. Pearce against the bar. Shearer! Brazil with this winning formula, wonderful knack. They continue to make football such a beautiful game. And Brazil have won the Umbro Cup at Wembley.
Commentary from Martin Tyler there, but Phil, I know you were at Wembley on that afternoon. With the benefit of a couple of weeks to think it through, how good was that Brazilian performance?
I felt looking at it, they started off slowly, they got better as it went on. I think they were happy with playing England last, because I really think, although people are criticising them, we really give them the test. What we did, we made them sort of see how they were defensively, and they played exceptionally well. They got better, the touch was marvellous. Players were playing in all kinds of positions, and they got this movement off the ball, which, as we've seen there, just in the end, it just ran England ragged. But they were quite exceptional, really.
Trevor, so it's extraordinary that so many exceptional young players have suddenly emerged into their first team when only a year ago a different group won the World Cup.
Yes, if you compare Brazil and Colombia, the two teams who I think will probably qualify from that group, what a difference they've had over the last 12 months. Colombia had an awful World Cup, yet they've stuck more or less by the same players. Brazil won the competition, they virtually changed it, and they've been able to do that. I think the new manager's come in, he's got his own ideas on how the game should be played. He's left out Romario, Bebeto can't get in the side, but they've still got players like Tulio, Edmundo up front. Janino looks a really exciting player. I mean, the one thing you do against Brazil, or not to do, is to concede free kicks around the box, because we saw Branco early on from 30 yards, Janino there scoring with a brilliant executed free kick over the top of the wall. They really are dangerous on the edge of the box.
So which of them would you buy if you were in a management job at the moment?
Well, at the moment I can't buy any of them.
Not even with your own money. Frank, any thoughts about the way Brazil have prepared for this championship? We'll look at the form in just a moment or two.
Yeah, I think looking at what you said to Trevor before about the young players coming into it, it may be a long-term strategy to build up for the next World Cup, because that's the most important thing in the background. They obviously want to win every tournament, but coming into competitive competitions like this, building players, young players, I mean, they've already shown, you know, there's one or two people haven't appeared in that Umbro Cup who are going to be involved in this one. And it's going to be really interesting to see whether the older players who won the World Cup for Brazil can get back in again.
Here's how the other countries have been going in the build-up to the Copa America 1995. First in Group A, Uruguay, the host nation. Now, in each case, the most recent fixture is the one at the top of the list here. They've beaten Peru. They lost this year to Yugoslavia. And we remember the game against England, a 0-0 draw at Wembley. USA, they drew as well. And beaten by Colombia, so it could be better form from Uruguay, although high hopes in the host nation. Mexico, they've recently played Nigeria on neutral territory and beat them 2-1. Drawn with Colombia, well beaten by the USA away from home, and also beaten by Chile, but they did have a win over Uruguay. Paraguay's form, hopes for encouragement perhaps, a reasonably good string of results at least, although as you can see, that when they play the stronger nations, they do tend to struggle, I'm afraid, and Argentina, obviously too strong for them when they met. Here's Venezuela. They've had a curtailed preparation, 2 meetings against Bolivia, and they haven't gone too well, and also a defeat away to Colombia. So Uruguay could have got things a little better in the build-up, couldn't they, Phil?
I think so. You look at them when they played England, they've always gone down as bad travellers and what have you, but I think they're my fancy to win it, obviously, because of the home advantage and everything. I really feel it's expected of them to give a good showing, and I think, as we were saying about Brazil, okay, the favourites, but in this competition, I just think all the other teams raised themselves against Brazil, and I've got a sneaking feeling for Uruguay.
Are there any specific reasons for this, or you just feel that the home advantage is?
I just feel the home advantage, and they have got good players. They has a depth of good players, and I just feel as though the warm up to the championships is okay, not gone great, but I quite fancy them with the home advantage.
Trevor, any quick thoughts on Uruguay?
Yeah, I think what Phil's saying is correct. The fact that they are at home has such a large bearing on it. I mean, next year we're going to be talking about the European Championships later on, and obviously, you know, England have become the favourites of that because they're playing here on their home soil. And if you look back at the World Cup, nobody really gave the USA a chance at all. But I thought they did very well. It was mainly because they were playing in front of so many passionate supporters in their own stadiums. And I think Uruguay, especially with Ruben Sosa and Fonseca in attacking areas, they've got a good chance.
Well, that's a fair warning from professionals. Let's have a look at Group B, shall we? And this is the recent form here. Brazil, well, we've spoken at length already about their excellence. You don't get better than that, do you? I think it's quite a good achievement to score a goal. At least Poland managed that in their last outing. England did, as we saw. And also well done to Israel, who've managed to hit one past the Brazilian keeper recently. Now for Colombia. They haven't won on either of their last two outings, but again, they put together a good string of results before that. On neutral territory against Nigeria, they won 1-0. They beat Uruguay 2-1, and they won away to Australia, 1-0. Peru, remember back to the 70s when Peru were a major force in world football. Not so strong in recent times, one has to say, and only one win in the last 5 matches, and that was at home to Chile. It was a 6-0 drubbing, but otherwise things haven't gone too well, and twice beaten by Uruguay. And Ecuador. They won the last 3 victories over Zambia, Costa Rica, and Zambia again, but they lost heavily away to Japan, and one, of course, remembers Scotland's performance, beating them 2-1 recently as well on neutral territory. Well, Frank, what are your thoughts about that group?
Well, I think the most obvious one, obviously, to come through will be Brazil. The Colombians, I mean, it's a cliche, really, because they've won every one of their last 6 games. And you expect them, and they are firm favourites for this. But football's not about that. I think it's about performing on the day. 1 or 2 of the young players coming through, it'll be a great experience for them. But they'll come through to the final. And I have my thoughts on who they'll play, but I think Colombia will come out of the group as well.
Phil, you often say that there is no team without weaknesses. What would Brazil's weaker areas be?
Looking at them, we've had a great view of them just slightly in the Umbro Cup, and I was very concerned the way they defended, and especially many cross balls. You're looking at it, England, I don't think we got enough decent balls into the box, but a team like Japan played, and they put some great crosses in, and they caused them all sorts of problems. Against Sweden, weren't very strong at the time, but did cause them problems in the air. And we've seen just especially in the first part of the show, how many goals were scored from that area. They've not been particularly strong in the air, so it could be a big burden on it.
If there is a team on form and on reputation that can be strong enough to challenge Brazil in this championship, it would surely be Argentina. Let's have a look at the Group C recent form. And first up to Argentina. Very, very solid performances recently. Just the draw away to South Africa to mark an otherwise perfect record. And they've been scoring plenty of goals too. Now for the USA. Mixed bag of results really in the year since the World Cup. But most recently a draw at home to Colombia. Maybe they have problems getting their full-strength squad together, maybe more so than other countries would have, but they have beaten Mexico and Nigeria recently. Chile haven't won either of their last 2 games, and one would have to say that on that evidence, the form is not going to be good enough to make a challenge for the Copa América. But we all stand to be proved wrong, don't we? And I'm frequently wrong. And Bolivia won the last game against Venezuela. Paraguay, home and away. 2 draws there, a draw with Venezuela once more, and a defeat on neutral territory against Spain. So that's hardly a form to inspire the bookmakers or the punters there. Frank, you have a strong feeling for Argentina, though, I think.
I do. I'm going to stick my neck out and put them to beat Brazil in the final. I look at the individuals they've got. The manager now, Passarella, has put a fairly good, decent code of conduct with them. I think if they can keep the temperament, I think they can beat Brazil. Obviously, you've got to get to the final to actually win it. But looking at the forward power in the team, I'm going for them to actually beat Brazil.
Trevor.
Well, Frank stuck his neck out and said Argentina will win it. Can I go for the leading goal scorer in the competition in
Yes.
Batistuta? I think that he'll be pleased that Romario's not there because he's been an outstanding goal scorer. But I think that Batistuta will continue from where he's left off this season in Italy, and he just may take them all the way to the final. And you might be right, Frank.
You agree with me there, Trevor? Oh, good.
No, I'm going for Brazil. I'm going for Brazil.
I can't see peace breaking out over the next 2.5 weeks, but Phil, Frank and Trevor, very much enjoyed your company, and there's an awful lot to look forward to. Thanks very much, and we'll be enjoying it all with you as we go through the next 2.5 weeks. We'll see you for the opener tonight, Uruguay against Venezuela, live from Montevideo. So much to look forward to. Hope very much you can stick around. Cancel your holidays, watch the Copa America instead. Bye for now.
Argentina kicking the game off. Chasing, of course, a hat-trick of Copa Americas, having won in Chile, where the tournament was staged in 1991. And here's an early chance, and it's going to be 1-0 straight away, and it's that man, Batistuta. What a start for Argentina. And Batistuta makes it 31 goals in 43 matches for his country.
He just laid on the shoulder of the back defender, didn't he, Ian? And what a great finish. I mean, it was only his second touch of the game. First touch, got it out of his feet, saw the goalkeeper, and he just dinked it into the far corner. Super finish. But what a bad start for Chile and a great start for Argentina.
Well, he provided a clinical finish against Bolivia, and there was another one. Chile do not know what has hit them. It's Batistuta who has hit them straight away. And Chile really have got some serious sorting out to do, but they've got no time to do it.
Now, and the problem is that because of the early goal that Argentina have scored, they're certainly at least half a yard, if not a yard, faster than Chile.
Feeling amongst the fans here in Paysandú is that Argentina could knock up a few goals tonight against the Chileans. And that would take them, of course, to 6 points in Group C and would confirm their quarter-final place. It's a lovely pass as well. It's Batistuta who's veered wide. Scorer in the opening couple of minutes, looking to be creator. Balbo and Ayala with a shot. And Argentina have made a storming start to this game, claiming the second goal. Simeone, who's just become a dad, he turned down the opportunity to go and see his baby son to stay with the squad, and it seems that loyalty has paid off.
Yes, it's right the Rover start for Argentina. Great cross by Batistuta. If anything, the first touch wasn't the best here, but nice little layoff, and just hit it first time. The goalkeeper has got a lot of questions to ask himself. Low to his right, never really set himself, but that is an absolutely super start for Argentina. And virtually, as far as Chile concerned, the game's over.
In his 45th game for his country then, Simeone makes it Argentina 2, Chile 0. So far, no yellow cards in this game, which is not bad going. Chamot. Borelli. Argentina somewhat stumbled their way forward on that occasion. Here's Zanetti, though. Estrada. Cattled forward by Estrada, and Batistuta nearly finding a way through, and keeper Ramirez doing well. He couldn't handle it, of course, having nudged it outside of his area. Simeone hitting it straight at Eduardo Vilches. Argentina seemingly wanting to put on some show tonight. Another flamboyant punch away, missed kick by Estrada. Promised a lot. And Chile now looking to break, and this could be interesting with Argentina pushing forward. It's Valencia. The danger is over because Valencia had gone down injured, and as Rodrigo Ruiz had got away, I think he was looking to return it to Valencia, who obviously couldn't have continued his run.
I think Valencia, on credit to him, he got clipped by the defender. It'd be interesting to see if the referee does make any decision here, because it was a late challenge. And yes, it's a booking which you could only expect for the challenge of Valencia.
That's a yellow card then for the captain Roberto Ayala, and that means that he will miss the last group match against the USA, because it's his second yellow card of the tournament, and that's why. And really looking at it from that angle, I don't think he can have too many arguments. Simeone on this side now, and he's won the free kick for the challenge by Valencia. Ortega then, only 5'7", Ariel Ortega. Now Daniel Passarella didn't pick him for a while because of his height and weight. Oh, he's got the goal! Brilliant from Ortega, and nearly catching Ramirez out. Here he is again. And he's going to get another free kick, and that'll be a yellow card for Nelson Paraguez of Chile, and that means that he will miss their game with Bolivia on Friday, because it's his second yellow card of the tournament.
Silly foul as well, wasn't it? Because there's no way he's going to get the ball. He's just had a hack at a little fella. It was great play early on from the free kick. It looked as though he's lining up to play the ball right-footed across everybody for a flick-on header. He saw the goalkeeper just leaving his near post unguarded. He's hit a lovely swerving, dipping, right-footed shot in there, and a good save by the goalkeeper.
He went for goal last time. This time it's the cross. Drilled back in, and the keeper smothering the effort. Barbo was waiting to pounce. Marcelo Ramirez certainly been a busy man in the opening half hour.
Yeah, again, it was a good strike as well, wasn't it? Head and knee and body all over the ball, kept it very low, and he's forced the goalkeeper into making a save. And I'm sure that when the ball came off him, the goalkeeper, he thought that one of the Argentinian forwards was going to follow in. Good strike, isn't it, from distance? He's done everything right, copybook style, and kept the ball very low, because he can hit all sorts of people on the way out and get deflection into the back of the net.
Zanetti earning the appreciation of the Argentinian following, which is most of the crowd. Balbo, Batistuta. Argentina expected, but Batistuta, unusually for him, could not deliver.
I think that was the best chance of the game so far in. Great little play, little 1-2 between Balbo and Batistuta. Delivered the ball in right foot, super cross for Batistuta, and he's only really got to hit the target and just stick it either side of the goalkeeper, and it puts Argentina 3-0 up. Great cross, wasn't it? Batistuta read it, he waited, he hung back, in it came, and he just had to make half-decent contact. If anything, the chance was possibly too easy for him. He's got too much time in which to think and where to put it, whereas he just head it down, goes past the goalkeeper. Argentina are 3-0 up.
Simeone then. Valencia tries and fouls.
Again, good refereeing, wasn't it, by our Mexican official, because really could have given a foul straight away, but he found that the Argentinian boy still had the ball. The ball ran out into the Chilean defender, and he's given the free kick for what happened, 5 seconds earlier. Good refereeing.
Indeed, as he played the advantage for Chile at the other end. Another chance, though, for Argentina. Batistuta onside. Well, he could have had a hat-trick by now. His finishing prowess deserting him a little bit since that opener.
Well, with his glorious strike rate, you'd expect him 3 from 3 really for Batistuta, wouldn't he? Again, good little play. Great ball in, wasn't it? Did well, Batistuta, got in behind the defender and he scuffed it with his left foot and the keeper's made a comfortable save.
Simeone, and again. Chile in real danger now, being caught out with Ortega finding Balbo, and Balbo's away, and this must be 3. No! Ramirez keeps Chile in the game.
It's a good save by the goalkeeper, wasn't it? Because he'd have tipped Balbo. Great finish, great sleight of foot as well when he got into the penalty area. It looked as though he was going to play it all the time, went past the last defender, but the goalkeeper very, very quickly came out and smothered the shot. Great little ball into Balbo, wasn't it? He was almost waiting for it. Great presence of mind, past one tackle, waiting for the next defender, past him, but good save by the goalkeeper.
Estrada giving it back to Ortega, and the this kick was from Caceres as the referee brings to an end the first half here in Paysandú. Argentina wasting no time in going 2-0 up. Gabriel Batistuta with the first, Simeone adding the second. Batistuta really could though have had a hat-trick, and Balbo there certainly should have scored right at the end of the half. Chileans have brought on Sebastian Rosenthal, who scored against the USA to give them hope in that game. The 18-year-old striker wearing number 9. And they're pinning their hopes on him in this second half. Batistuta now. And the return to Batistuta. And he has his second goal of the game. Gabriel Batistuta. Argentina 3, Chile 0. And this super striker continues his superb scoring rate for his country.
That was brilliant, Ian. Absolutely brilliant. Started and finished by Batistuta, but what a great little back heel, and what great awareness as well by Argentina. Great little ball in there by Batistuta, but look at that. Two players could have queued up, well, they were queuing up for the ball, but Batistuta almost got it stuck underneath his feet. The goalkeeper committed himself, and just a little dink, but I mean, that is fantastic play. And really, it was bad defending that let Argentina in for the first goal. And really, you know, as far as Chile is concerned, they've really got to do something defensively, because they're making it very, very easy for Argentina. And every time Argentina come forward, they look like they're going to score.
Yes, you get the impression they haven't quite finished their business yet this evening in Paysandú.
Yes, they'll be wanting to rub their noses in it, won't they, with the tremendous rivalry between the two sides.
Well, they have given Chile a few tonkings down the years. Nelson Paraguez playing in his third Copa America. Argentina, though, looking distinctly untroubled, and here he goes again. Batistuta, and he's away. He looked at the flag, there was no flag. It's Batistuta unselfishly across. He could have gone for it himself, Gabriel Batistuta, but he unselfishly teed it up for his strike partner Balbo. It's 4-0.
Well, we were just talking about the Chilean back four, weren't we? The fact of pushing up, taking so many chances, but it's so easy for Argentina. But it was great play by Batistuta when he got himself in the position. As you quite rightly said, he could have got his hat-trick quite easily, but he's got his head up, and he's played a super little ball and just toe poked that into the net. 4-0 for Argentina, it's easy. Again, I think when you can see Batistuta, he thought he was offside, he thought the lines of the flag was going to go, and again, two Argentinian players were there, they could quite easily have scored it, both of them.
But heads are starting to drop amongst the Chileans, and frankly, it's no great surprise.
No, it's not a surprise, and the fact that they're 4-0 down, and the worst thing that can possibly happen, you get a bit of possession and you give the ball away, and you give the ball away to opponents who are certainly a yard faster, if not 2 yards faster on the night. They're far, far better in front of goal, and they created so many chances that we talked about 6 or 7 already.
Oh, Chile though, so nearly getting one back themselves, and keeper Cristanzi maybe called into the first save of the evening, I think, for him.
Yes, it was his first real save, wasn't it? A good cross out from the left-hand side, and also a good header that forced Cristante into making that save.
Ortega now. Hugo Perez. And again, there's no flag. Balbo. Keeper denied him.
That was actually a very, very good save from Balbo by the Chilean goalkeeper. He really was do or die stuff at the end of his game. He's just got his right hand to the ball because he could quite easily be lobbed here. Good goalkeeping.
As Chile then decide to bring on Ivo Base, and he will be replaced by 21-year-old goal machine Salas. Chile looking then for a consolation. And they might get one here through Valencia. He's switched it. Oh, and that's a tremendous save from Cristante. Only the second save he's had to make this evening. And the action has switched from one end to the other with Balbo. Borelli. And Mendoza will clear it away, but Salas testing Cristante with a fine drive that Chile, well, perhaps really summed up their evening here in their failed attempts so far to score. Only 2 real attempts. No country has won the Copa America more than Argentina, and they've issued a warning tonight to their rivals, albeit against fairly disappointing opposition, who were, having said that, blitzed right from the opening minutes of the game.
Yes, I'm sure as Argentina progress into the quarter-final stage, they're going to come against far different hurdle, far different opposition. The quality of the sides they're going to face.
Now Batistuta is away. Gabriel Batistuta. Oh, so close to the first hat-trick in the Copa America for 8 years. Batistuta denied by the woodwork.
Well, the chances are virtually copybook all the time, aren't they? Again, Chile pushing up, playing very, very square. Batistuta taking it round the goalkeeper. Unfortunately for him and his side, he's hit the crossbar. But he could quite easily, without any fear of exaggeration, add 5 goals tonight for a player of his quality.
Balbo nearly getting his second of the evening, and indeed he himself, could have had a hat-trick as well. He certainly had a good chance then. He's got the corner.
Good save by the goalkeeper, actually.
Argentinian following here, urging their team on then for a 5th goal. Hugo Perez, and once again there's no flag, and the miss by Fabri, who was probably very, very surprised to find himself in that position.
Yes, I think he was surprised. He did actually look offside in that instance, and I think currently the Chilean players are berating the linesman, but you have to say that they've diced with death all night, and it's only something that really they've brought about on themselves, but it was certainly an offside decision not given by the linesman, and Argentina should have scored quite easily.
Simeone, and I was going to say rather wild from Simeone, but it almost turned into a Naeem-type effort.
Yeah, it was a bit cheeky, wasn't it, when he set himself? I thought he was actually looking to play a cross-field ball, but obviously not. It was a great effort when you consider the goalkeeper was always struggling, wasn't he? He's even himself his head against the post for his sins. It's come from fully 40-45 yards, and it can't have been far away.
Batistuta was top scorer in the 91 Copa America. And scored the goals in the final of 93. And his record now reads 32 goals in 43 games for Argentina. It's mentioned a lot, that record, and frankly it deserves to be.
I don't think we could ever mention that record enough, Ian.
Full-time whistle goes then in Paysandú. Argentina 4, Chile 0.
To look like it, doesn't it? Or is he? Now he's
No, he's walking away.
Yeah, he's got to go outside the penalty area and off the scene.
Keepers, they have got a better side here. You know, they're either better on the left side or better on the right side, and it's important if you know that.
Now then, Rincon for Colombia against Battaglia, the Paraguay goalkeeper. Against a cacophony now of noise. And yet more delay. This isn't going to help Rincon's nerves any. He's an experienced enough player, all right. But I bet he doesn't want to be kept hanging around like this.
Well, in this look at all those cameras behind the goal as well. And they're all going to flash as he hits the ball.
Here's Freddie Rincon. He's done it. And the goalkeeper got his hand to it as well. So, first blood to the Colombians. Here it is again.
It's unlucky the keeper got both hands to the ball. It was the pace of the shot that really took it on into the net.
It's Ramon Yada, yes. Very nicely done.
No problem, nice left-footed penalty. Kidded him the one way. Shoved it up his right-hand side.
One apiece. Mendoza for Colombia. Oh, I know! It's gone in! It's gone in! I thought that the goalkeeper had managed to push that against the bar and it had bounced up, and it just dropped over the line for Mendoza.
He's very unlucky again, the keeper. He's got a hand to it. Like I say, he knocked it onto the underside of the crossbar. And it came down and over the goal line.
Cuna for Paraguay. 2-2. Beautiful penalty. Really superbly struck.
Well, he's just going to take a chance, Higuita. He's just going to say, right, I'm going to go one way or the other, and all right, if he kids me, but I'm going to take a chance. I think that's his approach to making a save.
It's Niva Arboleda, who played so well, coming on as substitute, but he's never had to take a pressure penalty like this before. Cool, look at that. Look at that.
He took it well. He took it very well for a young lad.
Deft almost, wasn't it? Arrogant almost. There you go. No stopping that either. Samaniego, the striker, who once shot himself, would you believe, in the foot in a barroom incident. It all happens in South America, I can tell you, but the feet were okay here, all right.
Another good pen.
On in so far. This is Cabrera. And he's done it too. That's 7 out of 7. And all the time that happens for Colombia, the pressure is back on the Paraguayans. And it's very late in the shootout now. Is next in the spotlight and the firing line for Paraguay. And remember, Colombia lead 4-3 so far. Nobody's missed yet. That really was Mr. Cool himself, wasn't it? A couple of steps, away it goes.
I don't know whether this is legal anymore. I didn't think you're allowed to check it on your way up to the ball.
Cup final, how some star names were embarrassed, including Baggio, Baresi. Here's Asprilla. He checked as well, and he scored as well. Colombia have put in all 5 of the normal penalties. He did, yeah, the little feint again.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair on the goalkeeper.
Linchpin for the side. You wouldn't want to be him, would you, for all the coffee in Brazil? He's got to put this in to keep Paraguay alive in the Copa America. And Higuita is the star! Rene Higuita has put Colombia into the semi-finals of the Copa America. Poor Gamara. What a story.
I think he killed him as well, Higuita. He went as though he's going to go to his left, came back to his right and made the save.
So often the villain, now the hero, Rene Higuita.
He's some character, there's no doubt about that.
Would you believe it? Poor Carlos Gamara. That is a moment that he will never forget for as long as he walks this planet.
Well, you would say he hasn't missed it, the goalkeeper's made a good save. And that's the only way to approach that situation.
Now, your heart goes out to Gamara, and Colombia, after being 1-0 down at half-time and looking short of ideas, short of invention, short of inspiration, got an equaliser from Freddy Rincon. It went to the shootout. They put in all 5. Paraguay could manage just 4, and the hero here, in remarkable fashion, is that controversial, crazy man of a goalkeeper, Rene Higuita, and this is how he did it for the Colombians. Amazing.